Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. Kevin, good to see you. We're back on the horse, ready to go again. Are you excited?
For the match on Friday?
No, because it is Chapel House's world-famous car swap weekend.
Of course.
They've even given us an outfit.
They have. They have.
What more can you want? So, Kevin, if you get yourself down to Chapel House this weekend, or your nearest Chapel House dealership, because they are spread out across the Northwest, it is the perfect opportunity for you to swap your existing car for any new or used vehicle. You can book an exclusive appointment, or you can just pop in. All vehicles are reduced and priced to sell. They will give you a price for your own vehicle, and you can use that for a straight swap, get cash back, or pay the difference on a range of new, nearly new, or used cars in stock.
Excellent.
And hopefully, Kevin, the weather will be better than it was when I took this photograph.
Fingers crossed for them. Yeah, fingers crossed it does well for them.
Yeah. We have to say, Chapel House supporting Redvee for the 2023 season, and it allows all of our content to be on, obviously, our YouTube channel, on the website, on our forums, free from clickbait, because we don't do clickbait. Not like some rugby league sites, which will probably watch this video and try and rip a story from it, or pop-ups.
Yes, and it's very kind of them to do so, to stick with us for this season, to come on board, really, with us for this season, and allow us to continue to do this.
But this is the highlight. Giving me a car swap top. I was made up. I'm just glad it was a nice blue colour.
Yeah, you'd have been devastated if it had been red, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that may come at some point, but do you know what? Needs must.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, Kevin, I think we need to move on to discussing last week the Lee Leopard's instant reaction video has already become the most watched video of all time on Redvee. I did have to inform Kev Cunningham that his drunken performance at the Warrington Wembley Cup final defeat has now been relegated to number 2. And his missus did tell us he'd probably now sit there and watch it 400 times to get it back to the top.
Excellent work. Love it. Love it.
But yeah, I think people were probably watching it expecting a meltdown, and I don't think that's what they got. We tried to talk about why we lost, but be constructive in the criticism. And I think we ended by saying it's nothing that we can't go away and fix up.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. There's no point throwing the baby out with the bathwater at this point and start saying that we're a terrible team or anything like that. We've just gone 4 in a row. We've just been over to Australia, beat their top team over there. You don't become a bad team like that overnight. There's not been much change in the squad, and people have got to realise that we're everybody's scalp. We are everybody's scalp. People do want to knock you off your perch. And the fact that we've been up there for so long and been one of the dominant teams for so long means that everybody raises the game. And it is up to us to get back to basics and get back to what we know and what we can do. And that'll come. I don't see the point in kind of almost knee-jerk reactions. And listen, everyone's allowed an opinion. Everyone's allowed an opinion, just as much as people are allowed to argue against opinions as well. This isn't sanitised. I mean, it's not a democracy either, but this isn't sanitised. This is what we think, and we're lucky enough to have kind of the platform to put our opinions out there. So,
equally,
like, for example,
sorry, Kev, equally, there's a comments box below this YouTube video where you are entitled to tell us we're wrong.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because the one that I'll bring up is I still think the players are lethargic after Australia. I've seen people, and I've had a message today off someone who follows me on Twitter, Mike Foster, who thinks that it's coming to the end of being able to use that as an excuse. And I get his point. We've just spoken to different people. We spoke to Derek Beaumont last week, who said he went over to Australia and it took him weeks and weeks to recover again. We've seen friends of ours who've been over to Australia who still haven't recovered after being over there. James Graham, literally, the quote from James Graham was, they're going for the 5th in a row. I hope this doesn't take too much from them. They've sacrificed so much to come here and put it all on the line. They've really damaged their chance of domestic success. So everyone, or everything that I'm taking my opinion from, is people I've spoken to, people I've seen, and people who are still tired. And me thinking, well, that could well still be happening with Saints. Listen, this is the first full week that we've been able to properly have a full week in between games, properly have a full training week. I would imagine anyway that this is it. This is the one where we think, yeah, we should be back on an even keel now. But still, I'm going to give them a bit of slack with it. I'm not going to start knee-jerk reactions or lazy comparisons or anything like that. But if people want to do that, that's up to them. You've just got to be aware that others will turn around and say, I don't think you're right.
Likely. Yeah, I think it's been a bit of a culmination, hasn't it? Obviously, there's the jet lag from Australia. There's getting used to new ways and new structures with a new coaching staff that they want to implement. It takes time. Then you've had injuries, you've had suspensions, you've had players coming in, filling in positions that they're not used to in them combinations. And all of that adds up. And as you say, we're a scalp. And when Lee were given the opportunity to get back in the game, aided by another refereeing decision, which we will mention in a minute, they're going to take their opportunity. And listen, I'm not going to blame the one refereeing decision, because I thought they were well in the game before that. But it adds up. And listen, we said it on Friday night. Lee were well worthy winners. Absolutely no complaints. I think I was talking to you at 12-8. And I said to you, if Lee scored again, we're in deep trouble here. And it was almost like a little bit of a wave coming towards you, and you sat there on the beach, a tsunami, and you're just not getting out the way of it. Yeah,
that's it. You're right. I would just correct myself. We did have a week in between Leeds and Lee as well.
We did, Kev, but we also had 3 days off to allow players to have some rest and recuperation. So we didn't have a full week's training either.
Oh, fair enough. Well, there we go then. So this is definitely the first week that we've got everyone back in. But you mentioned there about combinations. Again, we're going to have another one when we'll get to the squad in a minute. But Curtis Sirenen is not going to play on Friday. You're going to bring him back in because he's one of our top 17 players. So he comes back into the team. Yeah. So again, there's another combination there when someone drops out and he comes in. Listen, we look flat at the minute, we do, and we look stretched when teams are throwing it out wide. But once we get up to start hitting our straps, we'll be fine. We genuinely will be fine. It will take a big drop for us not to still be in the chat about the playoffs come the end of the season. And I know people might turn around and say, you should be talking about winning it. But listen, we've just gone and won the World Club Challenge. We've got to fit another game in somewhere, the Huddersfield game. Let's just get to the playoffs. That's all you need to do to go on and become champions.
Well, listen, we've never finished out. I think it's outside the top four in a playoff series. I'm still confident we're going to finish top. I think if you look at the Super League table over the years, you can afford to lose up to like 6 games and still finish top of the table. We just need to make sure we go on a run and make sure we don't fall too far off the pace. But listen, as you say, this side could finish 6th, and so long as we have everybody back and we're firing, this side is more than capable of winning 3 playoff games on the bounce.
Oh, definitely. without a doubt, without a doubt. And the
If you can
league
win in
is so...
if you can win in Penrith, you can win at Warrington
Yeah.
or Wigan or Leeds.
Well, yeah, because you've got that big game knowledge. Whether it comes off you on the night is another thing, but you've got the knowledge of how to win them big games. We've been to 4 grand finals in the past 4 years and won them all. And it's just about getting over the line sometimes. And as you say, the league's concertinaed up. I've just got it up on my phone here. Yeah, we're on 2 points. And then you've got our opponents on Friday. Hull, Leeds are on 4, Leigh are on 4, Hull KR are on 4, Salford are on 4, Huddersfield are on 4, Wigan are on 4. And we've got a game in hand.
Listen, equally, you could go and win all 27 games, finish top of the table, get a couple of injuries and lose your home playoff semi-final. Season
Correct.
over.
Yeah.
The format's not right, but that's what we play under. So we just need to make sure we get back on the horse. And this week, Kevin, we play Hull FC, a team we have beaten on the last 14 occasions that we have played. And I've just come off the battering.
Is that a worry, though, coming off a battering? Because they're going to have to go out and put a performance in. They have to.
I just don't think they're very good.
That's fair enough.
I think of anybody you could be playing this week. Hull FC at home are the team you want to be playing. They just don't normally turn up at Saints, do they? Let's be honest.
Well,
don't quit this after next week.
I think that, and I say this an awful lot. I mean, I talk about teams being honest, and Hull are one of them teams that in the past, previous occasions playing them, they haven't done that. They haven't earned the right to play. They've just tried playing. And I remember, I think it was the start of the second half over in Hull. We were leading the game and they went and tried to score a try on the first set. Now, listen, I know everybody wants to score on each set they have, but it doesn't work like that. Rugby doesn't tend to work like that. But they started making decisions that you thought, you've not put yourself in that position where you can start taking that chance. You need field position. You need to make us make errors. And if they turn up and do that, listen, is our confidence probably knocked a little bit? Potentially, if you've lost 2 in a row and there's a little bit of pressure on you to get a win. But you're right. Listen, historically, they're a good team to be looking at facing. I think there's only Wakey that you possibly would turn around and say, I'd like to face them at home. And that's just because they don't look good at the moment. Or Cass, after us beating them, and they should have taken their chances. Possibly them at home as well. But yeah, listen, we can get back on the horse. I think
the one thing I can take from the last couple of weeks, Kev, is that the games we've lost, we haven't been just completely awful and off it throughout. The Leeds game was a game that should have been buried. And you can point to things in that game that happened even before the decisions that not to give us that penalty to win the game. Tommy uncharacteristically missing a kick, a try in the corner that he normally would touch down with ease. And even at Leigh, we were 12-0 up. The know-how should have seen us through that. It didn't. So we've got to just tidy things up. And it's notable that it came in the second half of games, as we've talked about, where the energy levels dropped. Now we've talked about the squad, Kev. One change this week: Curtis Sirenin coming in for Lewis Baxter. Now you've talked about Curtis Sirenin coming in. Do you see any other changes?
No.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Now, I talked last week. I personally think T. Ritson should come in this week. I know there's the clamour for him every week, but I just feel, yes, it's another change when we've still got players missing, but I just feel we needed something a little bit different in that back line, and that's nothing against John Bennison. He took his try really well last week. He performed really good cover defence to stop Zach Hardacre going 50 metres to score. But obviously, he's missed out the last 2 weeks. We need to see him. And I think Hull FC at home is that perfect opportunity to blood him.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I wouldn't necessarily be against it. I just don't think it will happen at the minute. It's like there's been a little bit of a clamour. I've seen people putting Wes Bruins in their team instead of Ben Davies. I can't see that happening either. I'm not entirely sure what that's based on. I think it's just a hope that Wes is going to be Super League ready and Super League good enough at the moment.
It's a new name, Kev. That's all it is. I'd like to see how many people who were calling for him to be in the squad have actually seen him play.
Yeah, other than the friendly against Swinton at the start of the year.
There still wasn't a huge crowd there either. So, listen, I know there are high hopes for him, but we don't tend to just chuck players in like that.
No, it would be a surprise, wouldn't it? It would really, really be a surprise. I think the only other change, or the one change I would make, and that's because he was absolutely blowing after about an hour and looked like he'd taken a little bit of a knock, is start Joey Lussick. I would start Lussick and bring Roby on when after 20 minutes or whatever, but manage James Roby's minutes. We need that succession. Whether Joey Lussick is it or not, I don't know. That'll be seen in the coming years. But I would manage James Roby's minutes a little bit more by letting Joey Lussick have the first 20, 30 minutes of the game, then bring Roby on, and then you can take him off again if you can afford to because you're ahead.
Would that be the tactics to go with in games that are perceived to be the easier ones at home, the likes of Hull FC, Wakefield? Do you start Lussick in these games? And listen, if we're suddenly like 12, 18-0 up after half an hour, you don't even have to potentially bring Robes off the bench. You can give Lussick 60, 70 minutes and just give Robes the last 15, 20.
Yep. I was surprised. I think I said it last week before the league game that I'd have probably done that to manage his minutes. And it's not because Roby can't do it. It's just the fact of you've got to manage a 37-year-old playing in the middle. You've got to manage his minutes. You've got to be able to, when you need to call on him, to be able to bring him off the bench or bring him in because he's had a week off. We need to see that. I am sometimes a little bit surprised not to see Taylor Pemberton in there, just to see somebody different. But it's whether they've got a different plan for him. I'm not entirely sure. But I just think that we can manage his minutes an awful lot better than we are doing at the start of the season. Listen, I know results haven't gone for us in the last two games, but you've got to give Roby at 37 a little bit of slack and not be playing him for an hour, 70 minutes away at Lee. That should be Joey Lussick's domain.
Yeah. Who drops out for Curtis Sirenan? Is it Sam Royal?
Yeah, I can see Sam potentially dropping to like 18th man or something like that. I can see him even maybe dropping out the squad, but I think, and listen, I thought Sam actually went all right. I think he made some decent meters, especially first half. I don't think anybody shone in the second half. And he might find himself a little bit unlucky to miss out, but I just think that second row wise, you're going to look at probably Wingfield on the bench, who's going to fill in at 13. You're going to can put Knowles in there as well. You've got James Bell and Curtis Sirenan going to start, I would imagine. So I think he'll just find himself the unlucky man.
I seen a suggestion on our Twitter channel. Somebody suggested if Ben Davies was to drop out, you could play Makinson inside T. Ritson.
Yeah, listen, I've had that. I think it was Mike Foster again who tweeted me and said that. But I think that, again, we're talking about changes in the back line. And are we changing something for the sake of a week that is then going to change back again next week?
Yeah. Especially, obviously, Wello said Will Hopperati will come back against Huddersfield. Now, that is a big game because Huddersfield away, that's one where Will Hopewati's 100% winning streak could be at risk.
Yeah, well, it could be. There's a one here that got sent to us as well, which was Benison in the centres, which I retweeted, which Matt, who tweeted us with Wellesby, Ritson, Percival, Benison, Makinson as his back five, which I think that's a bit risky playing John Benison in the centre. I would, if we were going to go with that as a back five, I'd rather see Makinson in the centre than out on the wing with Benison inside of him.
Has John Benison ever played centre? Ever?
I don't know.
Even
but
I
think that too many changes I can't see. We need to try and get some kind of rhythm going. And on saying that, if we do lose another game, there's going to have to be changes.
21-man squad for Hull FC, Kev. Talk us through it.
Harvey Barron replaces Jamie Shaw. I think we'll play some reserve rugby just to get some minutes. Adam Swift, they're looking menacing. Be returning to Saints. They are missing quite a few as well. Carlos Tumavave, Liam Sutcliffe, Ben McNamara and Jake Truman all miss out through injury. As well as, and I was hoping you'd say this name, he's been called up in rugby union, Mitele Vulikijapani, I'm going to go with.
Vulikijapani, yeah.
Yes, he's not available for Hull either this week.
Did the Salford defeat, I think it was 60 points to 14 at home, did that shock you last week? Because I backed Salford to win. I think Salford have been unlucky over the last couple of weeks. I think they try and play good, expansive rugby, and it just needed a little bit of time to click, and maybe they weren't getting the respect they deserved. But even so, that was a hammering.
It did surprise me because I backed Hull. I just thought home field advantage. I thought with Tony Smith being in there, he might just make him a little bit more solid. So to see him ship 60, listen, I think I was as surprised as many, having a look at it and seeing it come through on Twitter and thinking, well, that's one of my tips gone down the Swanee there. Listen, I know Salford are a good team and can play some absolutely wonderful rugby. They've done it against us and they've beaten us by playing that brand of rugby. But I just expect a little bit more, especially from a Tony Smith team.
Yeah. Right then, Kev, predictions?
I am going to go with the Saints win. I think this is where we do bounce back, and I'm going to go Saints by 18.
I'm going to go Saints by 22. I did it last week. Didn't come off. So maybe this week. Right, that's us done and dusted. Don't forget, it is Car Swap weekend. So if you do head down to Chapel House to have a look at some of the exclusive deals that they've got on offer, don't forget to say Redvee sent you. Won't get you anything extra, but it'd be nice for us.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll catch you on Friday night for Redvee's Instant Reaction. Catch you soon.